The night sky was not supposed to go quiet. On a remote space station orbiting a dead star, the crew of the Erebus monitored the faint, ancient signals of dying celestial bodies. But as Chief Communication Officer Sarah Callahan leaned over her console, every channel went silent. No static, no blips, no cosmic hum. It was as if the universe itself had held its breath. Impossible, Sarah whispered. Captain Elias Voss, a no-nonsense leader with a scar tracing his jawline, strode into the command center. Report, he barked. Captain, it's everything. All external signals just stopped, Sarah stammered, her fingers dancing over the controls. Then came the emergency klaxon. The main viewport went dark, and when it flickered back on, a colossal black monolith hung in space, eclipsing the starfield. It hadn't been there moments ago. Introduction of main characters. The Erebus housed a small, specialized crew. Captain Elias Voss, a hardened veteran, burdened by the loss of his previous crew. Sarah Callahan, the genius yet anxious communications officer, haunted by her brother's disappearance in a prior deep space expedition. Dr. Lin Wei, the enigmatic xenobiologist who believed humanity was never alone. Marcus Hale, the engineer who kept the Erebus running, grappling with guilt from a past catastrophic failure. Ava Rees, the pilot, fiercely loyal to Voss and driven by a desire to prove herself. Their mission was simple: observe, report, and never interfere. But this monolith had other plans. Unforeseen conflict. A low-frequency vibration shook the Erebus. It's coming from the monolith, Sarah shouted. It's trying to communicate. Before Voss could respond, the vibration escalated into a deafening roar. The station's systems flicker and surge. Marcus cursed as sparks flew from the control panels. Ava wrestled with the ship's controls, but they were locked dead in space. Dr. Wei stood transfixed by the viewport. It's scanning us, she said, her voice eerily calm. The lights dimmed. A strange symbol appeared on every screen, an alien glyph pulsing with an unnatural, crimson light. Sarah's eyes widened. This ... This isn't just a signal, it's a warning. Suddenly, the monolith emitted a beam of light, engulfing the station. The crew screamed as their surroundings warped and twisted, reality itself bending around them. When the light faded, the monolith was gone, but so was the star. Set the stakes were drifting, Ava said, her voice trembling. No propulsion, no navigation, and ... double quotes. She hesitated. The star, it's just gone. How can a star vanish? Marcus demanded. Wei's expression was grim. It didn't vanish. It was consumed. By what? Voss asked. The answer came as the ship's radar flickered back to life. A fleet of objects, hundreds of them, were hurtling toward the Erebus, their shapes indistinct but undeniably predatory. We're not alone, Wei whispered. Cliffhanger ending. The objects closed in, their forms resolving into nightmarish, insect-like constructs bristling with jagged appendages. A metallic screech tore through the comms as one of the creatures latched onto the station. They're boarding us, Sarah shouted. Battle stations, Voss roared, drawing his sidearm. As the ship shuddered under the assault, the crew braced for the unknown. The last thing they heard before the emergency lights failed was a guttural, inhuman voice over the comms. You should not have listened. Darkness enveloped the Erebus, pierced only by the flickering emergency lights. The metallic screeches of the creatures echoed through the corridors as the crew scrambled to arm themselves. We need to regain control of the ship, Marcus said, hefting a plasma cutter. Sarah was hyperventilating. They're inside. We're trapped with them. They bleed like anything else. Voss growled. Stay focused. The crew split into two groups. Voss, Ava, and Marcus headed to the engine room to restore power, while Sarah and Wei worked on deciphering the alien glyph, hoping it held the key to their survival. In the engine room, Marcus rigged an improvised EMP, hoping to disable the creatures. Ava covered him, taking precise shots at the advancing swarm. One of the creatures lunged, its serrated limb slashing through Ava's arm, but she gritted her teeth and fired point blank, splattering its acidic innards across the walls. Meanwhile, Sarah and Wei discovered that the glyph wasn't just a warning, it was a map. Wei theorized it showed a safe passage out of the swarm's range, but it came with a cost. They'd have to reroute the ship dangerously close to a gravitational anomaly. We don't have a choice, Sarah said, her voice shaking. It's that, or we die here. Voss's group barely made it back to the bridge as the EMP detonated, temporarily halting the creatures, but the damage to the ship was extensive. We'll burn up in the anomaly, Marcus argued. We're dead if we stay, Voss countered. Ava, plot the course. As the ship lurched toward the anomaly, the creatures regained their footing. This time, they moved with eerie coordination, as if directed by a singular intelligence. Just as the Erebus broke free from the swarm, a colossal entity emerged from the anomaly. It dwarfed the ship, a shifting mass of shadow and light. The swarm wasn't attacking the Erebus. They were running from this, and now, it had noticed them. The entity extended tendrils of light toward the Erebus, each one radiating an unbearable heat. Syrah screamed as the glyph reappeared, now glowing violently. It's not a map, she realized. It's a beacon. The crew scrambled to evade the tendrils, but the ship's systems were failing. Marcus frantically rerouted power while Ada pulled impossible maneuvers, narrowly avoiding annihilation. Dr. Wei proposed an unthinkable plan. Lure the entity into the gravitational anomaly and collapse it. But we'll have to sacrifice the Erebus, she said. Voss hesitated. There has to be another way. There isn't, Wei insisted. It's this, or humanity, is next. Voss gave the order. The crew worked in unison, planting explosives along the ship's core to overload the anomaly. Each step brought them closer to destruction, but they pressed on, knowing the stakes. As the final sequence initiated, the entity spoke. Its voice was a chorus of countless beings. You misunderstand. We are not your enemy. You are ours. It revealed that humanity's signals had awakened it from eons of slumber and it sought to erase them. The swarm wasn't attacking. They were warning the Erebus, but it was too late. The detonation began. The Erebus shattered as the anomaly collapsed, dragging the entity with it. The crew ejected in escape pods, watching as the starless void consumed their ship and the entity. Drifting in silence, the survivors reflected on their ordeal. We unleashed it, Syrah said, tears streaming down her face. And we barely stopped it, Wei nodded. But we know now, we're not alone. The crew was rescued weeks later, but they weren't the same. Voss carried the weight of another lost ship. Marcus silently vowed never to let his guard down again. Syrah stopped listening to the stars. In the final scene, a faint signal crackled through the silence, bearing the same alien glyph. Humanity's warning wasn't over. The quiet sky was just the beginning.